Welcome to the Sheridan Sun, live at 3. I'm your host, Lucas Cortez.
And I'm Taylor Herforth. Today may be April Fool's Day, but the news is all real. We won't be showing any fake stories today in the broadcast.
As spring arrives here in Oakville, the town is celebrating the spirit of community. Nominations have now begun for the 24th Annual Spirit Awards. With more on that, Sakina Grior has a story.
Oakville's community isn't just shaped by big events or major projects. Sometimes it's the everyday people making a difference behind the scenes. The Community Spirit Awards 2026 recognize the individuals who go above and beyond to give back.
This is our 24th year this year, and it started out of a need to recognize the incredible people in our community who were doing things above and beyond what you would consider everyday activities, and we wanted to support and recognize those people.
From supporting local art and culture to helping neighbors in need, the awards highlight the many ways people contribute to make the town a better place.
So the awards are done by a local artist, which is selected by a committee every year, and the artist makes 6 awards, for one in each category, as well as one for our personal collection here at Oakville that will be displayed throughout the town.
Nominees can include youth, seniors, businesses, and community organizations, all recognized for their impact.
So I've been volunteering here for over 25 years. Love it. Don't know how to say no. So whenever Miss Julie comes, but I never thought I would win an award. I mean, I wasn't in it for winning an award, but it was really nice to be appreciated and nominated. People feel better when they're volunteering, that people appreciate them, and you know, you're not in it for anything else, but when they say, oh, thank you, and you did a good job, perfect.
A selection committee made up of council members and community leaders review each nomination, choosing recipients across multiple categories.
What I find with people that are nominated is that they are so selfless in their giving and their efforts to just do something beneficial and amazing for their community.
To make your nominations, head to oakville.ca or come to the Recreation Center if you're having any troubles. I'm Sakina Grior on the Sheridan Sun.
Toronto police have arrested 3 men in a breaking and entering investigation. The men allegedly posed as construction workers while breaking into more than 30 luxury apartments and condos throughout the GTA. Police say the men targeted jewelry, precious metals, currency, family heirlooms, and other valuables. The losses are estimated to be over $1 million. Many of the stolen items have now been recovered.
Frank Strong's lawyers are set to continue their final submissions today in the sexual assault trial of the billionaire businessman. Strong's defense lawyer argued Tuesday that his accusers lied and in some cases fabricated their accounts. Crown prosecutors argued any inconsistencies in the complaint's testimony were peripheral and did not affect the core of their allegations. Strong has pleaded not guilty to 12 charges.
And now for a quick update on the weather. That was quite the rainstorm last night, Phoebe. How's the rest of the day shaping up?
Right outside our studio, it is currently cloudy with a few sunny breaks. Winds are traveling northeast at around 20 kilometers per hour, gusting to 40 kilometers per hour this afternoon. Today's temperature high is 7 degrees. The UV is moderate at about 5. Tonight, it continues to be cloudy with the windy conditions maintaining relative speed and direction. The temperature will drop to 0 degrees. Now, Thursday morning is cloudy as well. A few showers are expected to begin in the morning and last the entire day. The day's high is 5 degrees. That's a quick look at the weather. I'll see you later in the show for our 5-day forecast. Let's hear more about today's local news updates back at the desk.
Victim Services Toronto is expanding trauma-informed safety initiative in anticipation of an influx of visitors during the FIFA World Cup. The initiative, also known as the Ask for Angelia program, is starting new partnerships across retail, transit, hospitality, emergency response, and tourism. The expansion will also include Ask for Angela's first ever out-of-house campaign, which is comprised of new discrete posters with QR codes that lead to a help site. The posters are to be placed in high-traffic areas like transit hubs.
The Toronto Board of Health is extending a downtown outreach program for unhoused Torontonians. The core program teams public health nurses with police officers to connect people with housing, mental health, and addiction supports near Yonge and Dundas. Officials say the program is helping, but some advocates worry police presence could discourage people from seeking care. The program is now set to run through 2027.
Ontario's minimum wage is set to rise this fall. The province says that it will increase from $17.60 to $17.95 an hour starting October 1st in line with inflation. Officials say more than 700,000 workers will benefit, with full-time employees earning about $700 more per year. Labour Minister David Piccini says the move keeps Ontario competitive and supports workers' earning power. But advocates point out it well still falls below a living wage in the Greater Toronto Area.
Ontario is expanding its restricted towing zones. The zones, which restrict towing to only tow truck companies approved and contracted by the Ministry of Transportation, are set to cover additional sections of the 400 series highways from Niagara to Durham region. The towing restrictions, which were first implemented in the 2021 pilot program, are intended to prevent multiple tow trucks from showing up at the scene of a crash unrequested. Experts hope it will also curb a string of violent incidents in the GTA connected to rivalries within the tow truck industry. Seven Halton provincial highways are scheduled for road work. The nightly Highway 401 eastbound between Upper Middle Road and Highway 5 has a right lane closure until April 2nd. The nightly Highway 401 between Regional Road 25 and Guelph Line has been altering closures throughout April 2nd. This includes eastbound and westbound. The nightly 401 between 9th Line and Winston Churchill Boulevard has a left lane closure until April 2nd, and the nightly QEW between Royal Windsor Drive and Highway 403 Oakville will have a right lane closure from April 7th to 11th.
The federal government announced Tuesday it will top up funding for Toronto programs intended to prevent gun and gang violence among young people. The announcement came on the same day the federal funding was set to end for two of the city's key sources for funding of the programs, the Crime Prevention Action Fund and the Building Safer Communities Fund.
Less than 25% of Ontario children with autism are receiving funding for core autism services. Services like occupational therapy, applied behavior analysis, and speech-language pathology can be critical to the development of many children. Our children are missing the developmental window where these interventions are most effective. Despite increases in funding in recent years, the program has been unable to keep up with rapidly rising demand. The number of children registered with the program has increased 21% since mid-2024.
3 people have died and 2 others remain in serious condition following a highway collision on Tuesday afternoon. A transport truck and SUV collided in Norwich Township at the intersection of Highway 59 and Quaker Street. Oxford OPP, along with members of the West Region OPP Traffic Incident Management and Enforcement Team, are investigating the crash. Investigators are asking local residents and businesses to check their cameras to get a clear understanding of how the crash happened.
After pushback from Bronte residents, the City of Oakville won't be considering moving Canada Day celebrations to Sheridan College or to any other location. The event will be held in Bronte Harbour as usual.
Coming up after this short break, we will have Artemis II, a milestone for Alberta separatists, and an update on the war raging in the Middle East. All this and more after the break. 4 years after the launch of Artemis 1, with its uncrewed test flight of SLS on Orion orbiting the moon, NASA are back to launch Artemis 2. This time, however, they are set to orbit the moon, flying 4 astronauts on a 10-day journey. This marks the first crewed lunar orbit mission since 1972. Their objectives include crewed testing, deep space navigation, and international cooperation, which includes the first Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen, on a lunar mission. They have already started fueling and are set to launch in a couple hours from now.
Alberta separatist group Stay Free Alberta says it has gained enough signatures to trigger a referendum vote, 1 month ahead of schedule. The group will continue to gather signatures until their submission deadline to Elections Alberta. The early announcement is intended to raise the spirits of volunteers after the campaign has received harassment, both in person and online. However, experts remain skeptical about the likelihood of separation, even if the referendum votes for it.
Canada's federal government is taking over the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. The Public Health Agency of Canada will now run the newly renamed Vaccine Impact Assistance Program, replacing a third-party administrator. Officials say the move will help clear a backlog of claims and improve transparency. More than 105 million COVID-19 vaccine doses were given in Canada, with serious side effects reported as extremely rare. So far, 252 claims have been approved, with over $21 million paid out.
A Manitoba man was sentenced on Tuesday to 25 years in prison for the repeated sexual abuse of a pair of siblings between 1994 and 1998. The siblings, now adults, chose to forgo the typical publication ban on their names. The survivors, Raven Dominique and Jeffrey Gobay, are using the trial to raise awareness for victims of childhood sexual assault. Raven Dominique works as a First Nations and child welfare lawyer, and Jeffrey is a social worker. The two want survivors to know there is no shame in experiencing abuse.
After the horrific shooting in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, in early February, Maya Gabala, a survivor, is out of intensive care unit. Her father posted an update on Facebook on Tuesday saying that Monday was a big day for the family. Gabala says that so far, everything is looking positive for Maya, as she doesn't seem to be in as much pain, and they are starting to see more energy and color come back in her complexion.
Canada's Finance Minister, Francois-Philippe Champagne, is visiting China this week. According to official releases, Champagne is meeting with government and business leaders in an effort to attract new investments and build new partnerships with Canada's second largest trading partner. However, the topic of forced labor remains a sore spot yet to be addressed. Prime Minister Carney mentions that issues of supply chain integrity, including forced and child labor, will likely be part of the discussions.
U.S. President Donald Trump says military action against Iran could end within weeks. He told reporters the U.S. may withdraw in 2 to 3 weeks, adding Iran doesn't need to make a deal to bring the conflict to a close. Trump says the goal is to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, fighting continues, with Kuwait reporting an Iranian drone strike sparked a large fire at its international airports. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand is joining UK-led talks tomorrow aimed at reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a key global shipping route disrupted by the Middle East conflict. The move follows Anand's trip to Riyadh, where she thanked Saudi officials for helping evacuate Canadians and pushed for regional de-escalation.
The United States Supreme Court will hear arguments today on President Donald Trump's consequential first-day executive order. In 2025, a case that could upend a long-held understanding of who is considered a U.S. citizen. The executive order, which is not retroactive, could make it so children of undocumented immigrants or those whose presence is lawful and temporary, such as students or people on work visas, do not receive citizenship.
The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against a law in Colorado that bans conversion therapy for minors. The case was presented by Kaylee Shillies, a local counselor. Shillies claimed that the state 2019 ban on doctors and mental health professionals' conversion restricts her abilities to provide talk therapy to the LGBTQ+. The court voted 8-1, siding with Shillies. Although Colorado is one of over 20 states that previously banned conversion therapy for minors, it has become a legal battleground between free speech restrictions and state-regulated equality.
2 pro-Palestine protest organizers have been found guilty in the UK of breaching police rules. The court found that during a January 2025 protest, Ben Jamal and Chris Nineham incited protesters to breach a rule that limited the protest to a designated area. Legal experts, members of the UK Parliament, and Human Rights Watch have all criticized the verdict.
A Russian AN-26 military transport plane crashed into a Ukrainian-controlled area of Crimea, killing its 29 passengers. The plane wreck was found after losing contact with authorities during a routine flight. According to reports, the plane crash is attributed to a technical failure rather than missiles or drones, as there was no reported external damage to the aircraft. We'll be right back after the break with the latest in entertainment, sports, and weather. Stay tuned. And now over to Shanice with the entertainment. I hear a certain plumber is returning to the silver screen.
You heard that right. The famous Italian plumber is back. The Super Mario Galaxy movie hits theaters today. The animated comedy feature is based on the 2007 and 2010 video games. It follows the adventure of Mario and Luigi as they join Yoshi, Princess Peach, and Toad in outer space and face off against Bowser and Bowser Jr. The film features a star-studded cast. Reprising their roles from the first film back in 2023, Chris Pratt is back voicing the infamous Mario and Charlie Day as Luigi. Other stars include Donald Glover, Glenn Powell, Jack Black, and Brie Larson. Another galactic adventure is on the way. Supergirl is flying to theaters this summer. DC Studios' newest feature, Supergirl, dropped its first trailer starring Millie Alcock and Jason Momoa, directed by Craig Gillespie. The film follows Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, traveling through the galaxy on her 23rd birthday with her dog Crypto, and encountered a tragedy leads to seek revenge. The film comes out on June 26th. Zendaya in Robert Pattinson's latest film, The Drama, is heading to the big screens on Friday. The drama follows Emma and Charlie, a seemingly perfect Boston couple just days away from their wedding. But things take a sharp, dark turn during a simple party game when Emma makes a confession that changes everything. The drama is just one of the 4 theatrical features Zendaya is starring in this year. The film currently has an 83% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Bridgerton star Simone Ashley is making a big career move, but this time as a singer. As excellent as she is an actress, her singing voice is just as good. Simone released a teaser on her Instagram for her debut single coming out on April 10th. Growing up studying classical music, she performed a song called Cool to Be Kind alongside Emilia Clarke for the film The Night Before Christmas in Wonderland. She has captured the hearts of fans in her role as Kathani Kate Sharma in the 2nd season of Netflix's hit Bridgerton. She is also set to star alongside Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada 2 coming out next month. Cardi B has scored a legal win after a federal judge in Texas dismissed a $50 million copyright infringement lawsuit related to her song Enough Miami. 2 producers were claiming Cardi's song is a replicate of their song Greasy Fry Bread. The lawsuit was filed in July 2024 after the producers claimed Cardi's song caused them, quote, reputational harm within the music industry and caused them to be blacklisted. Cardi's team, however, filed motions in the case claiming that Greasy Fry Bread was not copyright protected. Cardi creating a club hit from a song called Greasy Fry Bread is truly why the fans love her so much. And that's all for today's entertainment news. Back to you, Taylor.
Thanks, Shanice. Now for the latest in sports news with Maddie Cholette. Over to you, Maddie.
The Blue Jays conclude their first homestand of the season today against the Colorado Rockies. The Jays have gotten out to a hot start since opening their season last Friday at home. They defeated the Rockies last night in a 5-1 victory. Late-game RBI hits from Kazuma Okamoto, Nathan Lucas, and Ernie Clement helped seal the victory. The Jays now have 4 wins and 1 loss on the homestand, heading into the series finale against the Rockies that's taking place right now. The Jays and Rockies are all tied up in the 8th inning. Following this game, the Jays will head to Chicago on a quick road trip to take on the White Sox this weekend before returning home for a World Series rematch against the Dodgers next week. Staying with the Jays, the team announced yesterday that new signee and starting pitcher Cody Ponce has suffered an ACL sprain and will miss significant time. This comes after Ponce fell when trying to make a play in the field during his Jays debut on Monday night in the team's matchup against the Rockies. This was Ponce's first MLB appearance since October 2021. The extent of the injury is still being explored, but the 2025 KBO MVP will miss extended time. This is a huge blow for a Blue Jays starting rotation already facing injuries to Shane Bieber, Trey Savage, and Jose Barrios. They have since recalled pitcher Lazaro Estrada from AAA. The Raptors fell short to the Detroit Pistons last night in a 127-116 defeat. Pistons center Jalen Duren was dominant in this one, finishing with 31 points and 9 rebounds. RJ Barrett led the way for the Raptors with 24 points and 6 rebounds, but it wasn't enough to take down the Eastern Conference leading Pistons this time. The Raptors now sit at 6th in the Eastern Conference, heading into the second night of a back-to-back against Sacramento tonight. Toronto will be looking to build momentum as the regular season nears a close and the playoffs approach. The Toronto Maple Leafs are making a change. No, this isn't an April Fool's joke. This week, the Leafs announced they are moving on from general manager Brad Treliving. This announcement comes in the midst of Treliving's 3rd season as Toronto's GM and following an underwhelming trade deadline. The team currently sits in 7th in the Atlantic with their direction for the future unclear. Assistant general managers Brandon Pridham and Ryan Hardy will serve as interim GMs until a new hire is made for the role long term. The field for the 2026 World Cup is finally set. All qualifying matches concluded last night, meaning all 48 teams have officially qualified for the tournament. Most notably, Italy failed to qualify for their 3rd straight World Cup, following a penalty shootout loss to Bosnia. Canada will now open their tournament in Toronto this June against Bosnia. Canada will also face Qatar and Switzerland during pool play for the tournament. The World Cup officially begins on June 11th. That's all our sports news for today. Now, I gotta go see how this Jays game ends, so let's send it over to Phoebe with the weather forecast.
The remainder of Thursday is cloudy with a 60% chance of showers lingering until the day's end. In case you missed it, we will have a high of +5 degrees, which will later become +8 degrees. Friday continues the streak of cloudiness by carrying a 60% chance of showers early on in the day. It is by far the warmest day of the week at a stunning +23 degrees. The afternoon is partially sunny, becoming cloudy into the night. By then, it will be +11 degrees. Saturday is cloudy once again, the 60% chance of showers not letting up. The rain won't be too intense though, amounting to less than half a centimeter. The temperature will reach up to +15 degrees. The rain will continue past midnight, by which it will dip down to a low of +6 degrees. Periods of rain will carry on into Sunday morning, the chance of showers lowering to 40%. Trust me, this isn't an April Fool's ruse. This week is really just this gloomy. At least we can be grateful that there's no more snow to shovel. The overcast conditions bring along a high of +7 degrees. The rain is expected to pause later on in the day. This will leave us with cloudy skies and a low of -4 degrees. Thankfully, the sun makes a reappearance on Monday. It's slightly colder, the warmest temperature being only 5 degrees. Cloudy periods will persist into the darker hours. By then, the temperature will fall to -3 degrees. That concludes this week's weather report. I wonder what the weather is like on the moon. There's no way it's worse than Canadian winters. On that note, I'll send you back to the desk.
With just a couple hours left before Artemis II is scheduled to launch, Cape Carnival has filed with campers waiting to watch the liftoff. Troy Campbell with WKMG has the story.
I'm so lucky we're going to be here.
David Lane is visiting Jetty Park from New Hampshire. He says the campsite is in high demand for Wednesday's possible launch, but he's thankful he's secured a spot.
We're so lucky to be able to come down here and get this. It's a niche down here. I think there's 40 campers outside the campground, and we always prefer to stay out here.
Lane says he's seen launches before, but never with astronauts on board.
Oh, it never gets old to see the rockets go up off the Space Center, and this is huge. To me, it's history. Watching this, if these astronauts go up and do what they're going to do, it's going to be just awesome.
We just extended our stay for 2 days, so we'll get to take this in.
Nancy Jagir is camping at Jetty Park from Massachusetts and says she was scheduled to leave yesterday, but quickly made plans to extend her stay so she could see the launch.
We just kept going to the office. I kept going online to see if we could get in, and we've got 2 extra days, so let's go Artemis II. We'll take any spot because we're inside the gate.
And here at Jetty Park, it's still pretty calm. People are enjoying the beach, they're fishing, they're hanging out by their camper. But then just hours away, all eyes are going to be up here on the sky as Artemis II launches.
And we believe this is actually happening. I mean, go figure.
John Tilgore is visiting the Space Coast from Tallahassee and says he's looking forward to witnessing the most powerful rocket ever built.
Feeling the vibrations. You know, actually feeling it. I mean, seeing it, but feeling it. But I got a feeling this one's going to live up and exceed expectations.
Now what's next? Campers tell us they hope the weather cooperates.
Every morning when you watch the news, it's the weather talks about the launch, 80% chance tomorrow, so it's a pretty cool thing.
That's our show for today. I'm Lucas Cortez.
And I'm Taylor Herforth. See you next week.